I've waited almost 3 years for this Nightcrawler statue. And now that he's here, today we're going to try and answer the question, is he the best Nightcrawler statue ever made? Well, there's not many of them out there, so God, I hope he wins. What the? Where the hell did he go? Hey guys, welcome to the Extreme channel. My name is Mr. X. Big part of the channel is about extreme collectibles, and that is what I have in front of me. As I said in the intro, I've waited a long time for this, and kind of a spoiler, he doesn't disappoint. We're doing 2 giveaways right now. To win a statue, stay tuned towards the end of the review and you can find that out. However, to win a monthly gift basket, go ahead and comment sometime on this video. Any comment enters you into it. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. But we're gonna go in depth today. You're gonna look at the unboxing, you're gonna look at the assembly, we're gonna do close-up pictures, close-up video, we're gonna review him on the extreme scale, but a little bit of background first. So obviously this is Nightcrawler. He's 1/4 scale. That means in real life, he'd be 4 times larger, Cody. And this is a custom. When I say custom, I mean unlicensed commission. Usually they number less than 100. This one actually had 70. And almost always, they're always sold out. This one is especially true because they only made 70. And I've been waiting, as I said, 3 years for him. He was sold out 3 years ago. Now, Nightcrawler, if you're unaware, is a member of the Xmen. So he is a mutant from Marvel Comics that has the superhuman abilities of teleportation, agility, strength, and probably some other stuff I'm missing. And that's going to be important as we talk about the concept of this piece. So let's dive right in. And when we say concept, I want to look at a few things. Number one, is it accurate? So first of all, the interpretation of this Nightcrawler is partly from the comics and partly from the commissioner's head. A little bit of mix in there, and I assume the sculptor, the famous Franco Carlissimo, had some input as well. Second, does it make sense? Does it flow well? Does it tell a story? So at the base here, we always like to look at the base first and move up. You see, he's kind of in a cathedral slash church. I don't know if this is the top of the building, the bottom of the building, the outside of the building. You have some gargoyles. I call them gargoyles. Very Batman-esque, if that makes sense, because Batman, traditionally, Batman statues are always on top of the building. But as you move up, it looks like he's either at the peak of the outside of the building or maybe the inside. And Nightcrawler is suspended in air. There's some crazy design stuff you're going to see in the assembly. And right behind him is what we call his Bamf. Yep, Bamf. Bamf is actually a cloud that he leaves behind when he teleports. So he's teleporting into or out of this building. Again, we're not clear if he's on the outside or inside. I think he's on the outside. And he is in an action dynamic pose. As dynamic as it comes, he is jumping. He is in the middle of a jump and he is fierce. He has 4 different head portraits we're going to look at, and believe it or not, 6 different arm options that can all be interchangeable. And behind him, you have this awesome cathedral where the detail is amazing. It's almost a shame that Nightcrawler covers some of it up, but he's even more amazing. So that's really, really cool. And when I look at this, I really think, okay, they captured Nightcrawler showing his power in more ways than one. His agility, the teleportation. He's fierce. It has a lot of ties to his heritage. Nightcrawler is a big Catholic. He's very religious, and you always see him around or near a church, so that makes sense. I love everything about this concept. People originally thought this project would never come out. It was too elaborate. It was going to take too long, but here it is 3 years later, and it paid off with a concept that's perfect. In my opinion, this is an X concept. If I want a Nightcrawler statue, this is exactly what I want. It hits every single check mark on the list. Now the concept, as impressive as it is, the design is just as impressive. So let me take you through the unboxing. It was a huge box. It said it only weighed like 27 kilograms, but I'm thinking it was closer to 30 or 35. And on the inside, a small box with a Nightcrawler name on the lid. There was actually 3 layers. The first layer actually had this acrylic plexiglass you will see in the back during assembly. Second layer had Nightcrawler and some of his switch out options, including the Bamf. And it was interesting, they used a Velcro strap to hold that Bamf in. I'm surprised nothing broke on it. It's this clear or semi-transparent resin material. Below that was the base and some other switch out options. And then below was the back of the base, the cathedral type aspect of it. So let me walk you through the assembly here. So the base consisted of 3 components: the bottom, and then 2 pieces that went on the back, or the cathedral style. It was a key and peg, slid in very easy. That's what she said. And then the next part was the bamf, and this is actually connected via a screw that they shipped with it. And then also they gave you a tiny screwdriver as well. And I had to make sure that when I screwed it in, I didn't screw it in too tight, because it does go right into that resin and you didn't want it to crack. However, you want it to be secure enough where it would have no issues falling over. So I think that they picked the perfect length, and it's very, very secure. Time will tell, I guess, but I'm pretty happy with how they did that. And then as you see on the middle of the bamf is the keyhole that goes right up Nightcrawler's ass. So I wasn't sure how this would hold, and I was a little nervous at first. Now it is slanted up, so you slide Nightcrawler right onto the back of it. Be careful of the tendrils from the bamf, that his arms don't knock any of those off. But very secure. Head and hands were very, very strong magnets. That was a little cross that I just put on the top. That is also secured via magnet. Then very, very smart, all these gargoyles are also magnets, and they're very strong magnets, which really shocked me, and that's a kind of a genius design. You don't have to worry about whether they fit right or not. And when I was moving it wouldn't fall. Then finally his tail goes actually right up into the bamf. It's a little bit loose, which we'll talk about in a second. So they have this acrylic piece that goes on the back. It's a transparent acrylic piece. And like most acrylic pieces, it has that brown paper that is sealed on it that I had trouble getting off. I actually had to get Mrs. X with long nails. And then they provided 3 tiny screws along with that small screwdriver to screw right into the back. Now, we're going to talk about this later, but as you see, the screws are visible from the back, but not from the front. And I'm not sure how I feel about this acrylic piece. I don't know if it was needed or not, but I think it definitely makes it look better. It would have been neat if it had some stained glass, like some colors to it, like I've seen a few other customs do. But very easy assembly. So very, very genius how they did everything. The fact that the Nightcrawler is connected to the bamf and it's slanted up, the key is, so he slides right in. Of course, that can't be comfortable with something up your ass like that. If anyone knows how that feels, let me know. The magnets, the acrylic. The one negative is you do see those screws with the acrylic, but that's at the back, and I would never display this by the back. So all that design stuff is top notch, but you're forgetting about all the different display options. So first let's look at the portraits, and let's look at them from my least favorite to my most favorite. And what's interesting is, when I first unboxed this, before I even looked at the portraits, I thought the long-haired portraits I just put back in the box. Wow, was I wrong. My least favorite is the short-haired version with his mouth closed. He still looks fierce, he's gritting his teeth. Almost looks evil, sinister. There's something about this I'm just not a fan of. Maybe it's the unevenness of his mouth, where on the right side it's more pulled up. And then they have this similar portrait, and I think it's almost the same. It's slightly different. However, it has the long hair, and for some reason I like this one a lot better. And I'm trying to figure it out if it is just the hair. And here you have a short-haired version, which to me, this is the true Nightcrawler. And this is what I thought would for sure be my favorite. He's fierce. His mouth is opened, which tells the story with the jump. But I think my favorite is the long-haired portrait like that, which really surprised me. And we'll take a look at some of these closer when we get to paint and sculpt. Now, essentially, his arms have the exact same switch-out options with one minor difference, so let's talk about that. His both right arm and left arm, he can kind of have this open claw. And I think this is my favorite. It just makes it more fierce, and it goes with the flow of him jumping. And you can put this on the right and left, or just the right, just the left. And on the right hand, he can be holding his cross. I think these may be rosary beads or something like that. I'm not Catholic, and I don't use beads of any type. Whereas left hand, to match that, is just kind of a closed fist. And then what he can do is he can actually hold a sword in both hands. Here's a picture of that on his left hand. And as I said, you can really mix and match. Like right here, he is holding the closed fist with the beads, and then the open palm. Now, I don't like the swords at all for a few reasons. First, they stick way too far out, so I think that's a negative. And I like Nightcrawler without swords. I think this shows enough of his power, but I think it's a cool option that they added that. So design-wise, I don't know what I would change, honestly. This one, I'm not worried at all about it falling over. Maybe when I move it, we're going to find that out if that's an issue. And as I said, the tail actually inserts through the bamf. It's a little bit loose, so maybe a little QC issue. but I think I have to give the design an X as well. It's a perfect design for a statue that's pretty elaborate. Really impressed. I do worry about if I ever have to ship it again, obviously. But let's look at the paint and sculpt, and I'm gonna do a little bit of an overview, and we'll do a close-up video at the end. But right here on the base, I love what they did on the side. So they have open drainage over here, and at first I thought I had a problem with my statue, like the paint was leaching, but they have a moist green effect. So I guess this is on the outside for sure. That just blends in great with the gray. It really makes it look like the statue's wet. Very, very interesting. I like how they did that. Something simple, but something basic. And it's on both sides. So I think that was very intentional, very smart. Take a look at the gargoyles. They're okay. I like that they're on the statue, but there's not a lot of significant detail in here. I've seen much better stone gargoyles. I think it's too much of the same color, and then there could be more texture in them. I think that's the only negative, or they could be a little bit more fierce. I do like how small they are, because that way they don't take away from Nightcrawler. Let's take a look at the base itself. So first the top where you have these stones, these inlaid stones, these look awesome. I love the design of them, I love the texture, I love the shading on the coloring. Very, very cool. And I wish I would have taken some pictures of the back with Nightcrawler off, because this is intricate as hell and it's a beautiful design. The people who have the membership saw me unbox this raw, and or they will see me unbox it raw. I filmed it for them, and it just, the elaborate design back here is amazing. And unfortunately you can't see a lot of it because of Nightcrawler, but what a cool little Easter egg. And here's the cross up top, and again I like that this is removable. I probably will remove it because I think I can fit him in a different shelf. And it doesn't really sit straight. I guess it does. It's just different. Not a huge fan of it. So let's look at the BAMF. I love this, and because it's this semi-transparent resin, and depending when you shine the light on it, I see purples and blues and reds through different areas, and it changes as you move it. I love that. I think it was the perfect coloring, the perfect design. I love how the tendrils part of it are coming out. It looks like he truly just transported. On Nightcrawler himself, let's look at his appendages first, because his feet and hands are very similar. So this is a suit for Nightcrawler. He's all blue, and I love the black shading they put in this. So you'd assume, he's not a 100% clean guy. I love the claws, his huge feet and hands. The wrinkles in the uniform here look fantastic. You're gonna see some of that in his bodysuit because he's in such an awkward position. Here's a quick picture of his tail. Maybe some texture on this. That wouldn't be entirely comic accurate, I think. It's smooth in the comic, but I think some texture would have been cool. Check out his bodysuit. Let's look at the blue part first. So the inner parts of it are actually smooth. You still see some stitching and some creases, where the outer parts have this slight texture on it. It's hard to see because it's dark, but it's definitely kind of that honeycomb pattern. Very, very cool. And as you move up towards the midsection, not only on that blue but red, you see it creased over and folded over because he's hunching over. And speaking of the red, has that same great black shading that the white does. I think that makes him look more real. You can tell he's in the battle, or maybe he gets dirty when he teleports, who knows. But it looks awesome. A little bit of red stitching near the top. His anatomy is also fantastic too. Couple shots here. I think he has strong, powerful legs. He's a slim guy, but muscular. That's shown in his torso, and then his arms here. Really, really cool. Here's a close-up of the cross, the beads. It looks okay. Looks a little cheap, but I don't know what else they would have done that wouldn't have broken in shipping. So I'm just going to look at two portraits here. First, I want to look at the closed-mouth, long-haired portrait, because I think that if we look at two portraits, we'll see everything that's in all four portraits. I love the fierceness on his face. I love how he's pissed. I mean, he is not a man to be trifled with. He's now in beast mode. I love the orange eyes. I don't know how accurate that is to the comic. The purple lips, I'm not a huge fan of. But again, I'm not sure of the comic accuracy. And this one, with his mouth closed, you see this black that they painted in there. And I'm not sure the purpose behind that. Again, maybe it signifies he's dirty like his costume, but it's almost a little too much black for me. But that's really micro-analyzing. The hair flow's fantastic. I love how it's all shooting to the back, great strands, kind of the part in the middle over his huge elf-like ears. And then let's switch it up to the open-mouthed portrait with short hair. I'm not a huge fan of his hairstyle, but I believe this is comic accurate. I don't like it looks too well-to-do. It kind of looks like that kid that everybody beat up in junior high would have that haircut. But a lot of the same things going on with his face here, but one of the things I didn't talk about was the paint on the teeth and mouth on the other portrait. It was fantastic, and you can tell it's fantastic on this as well. I mean, it looks like a real mouth. They have that moist effect on the tongue. They had it around the teeth on the other one. I love he has the canine fangs, and he is just full out rage pissed. Sculpt on this guy, again, I'm trying to look at what I would improve. I think one recommendation, this may be more of a design thing, but if they actually had like a stained glass window with different colors. I've seen that on another custom that looked really cool, so I think that was an opportunity missed, but that's not really sculpt. I can't think of anything I would change, so I have to give the sculpt a 5. As I said in the intro, it's not a surprise this is one of the best Nightcrawler statues because there's not very many, but I think even if there was 20 of them, this one would be hard to top. And I think the same can be said about the paint. I think a little bit more variation in the gargoyles, maybe the color of the outside of the building would have made it a little bit better. And then a little bit too much black on the face when you're looking at it from about this far away. You never want to be that close to a head.
That's what she said.
So I think for those reasons it downgrades it to a 4 out of 5, a rail. Now we haven't talked about value yet. I didn't talk about cost. So he's 13 or 1400 euros, which is like 1600 US, depending on the exchange rates. Shipping, because shipping is through the roof right now, is $600 US, so you're about 2200 all in. They made 70 of these. There's not any competitors that even come close to this. I could get my money back tomorrow. I could probably make 500 bucks on him tomorrow. It is a rare, unique piece. If you are lucky to get one of these, I think it's going to be pretty hard to come by these moving forward. I think the value is through the roof. It's not a $10,000 statue. It's not a phase 2. It may be someday, but I definitely think the value is a 4 out of 5 as well. Now we want to ask ourselves, does this have the X factor? He is an X-Men. It is in Mr. X's house. Hell yeah, this has the X factor. This is a 5 out of 5 statue, people. This is fantastic. Most people know I'm a little bit of a dick rider for the custom group that this came from, but you can't argue with this guy. You can't. So I'm really excited to have him. Nightcrawler is not my favorite X-Men. This could be my favorite X-Men statue. This is definitely one of my top 5 statues right now. It is amazing. I have a quick video of close-ups of him, but before that, here's that giveaway I was talking about. On our road to 20,000 subs, we are giving out this Mortal Kombat statue at 12,500 subs. All you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification and stay tuned for that giveaway.
Previously on X-Men.
Again, I'm just blown away by this, guys. And ironically, I'm opening up another amazing custom piece by Franco right after this. So I'm going to open that up and that will launch tomorrow. So make sure to tune in for that. Or if you're watching this in the future, just go search for that yellow Wolverine. But again, guys, every time I do say thank you for watching, I really mean it. I love to share such an awesome piece with you guys. Please let me know what you think. Check out some of these other awesome custom statues in this playlist. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button, that Mr. X logo, because you're going to see tons of cool stuff like this in the future. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you tomorrow with Yellow Wolverine. Take care.